see is my dear sister Nar on yet. Nar, are you there, sis? Let's see here. Is there somebody by the name
Yes,
of...
I am. I'm here. I'm
Hi.
just coming from checking in on one of my clients.
Yes. How are you, beautiful?
I'm doing well. You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I am truly reflecting all of your essence because when you came on and I felt the elevation of the crown chakra, I was like, there she go. There she
Yes,
go.
I
How,
am here.
how has all been with you?
It's been good. Just maintaining positivity, just keeping doing what I've been doing all this time during this pandemic, just keeping good vibes always.
Absolutely. How's your beautiful family doing?
They are good. I just walked back in here, so I know they're gonna be ready for me to either watch a movie or go outside and play or do something. So they're gonna be waiting on me for a second. I was like, hold on, just give me 30 minutes and we'll do something.
But that's how it goes, though. Like as Queen Thais was sharing a little bit earlier, maintaining that connection because we truly have just as much to learn from those babies as they have to learn
Yeah,
from us. So, as
yeah, they
persons
teach
like
me a
us,
lot.
oh, yeah, absolutely. And think about it. If they were doing something other than wanting to spend some quality time with you, would you really be watching TV?
No,
No,
uh,
no,
I,
not at all.
no, I would be I spend most of my time with my children anyway. Like we're
I know
always
you
doing
do.
something if I don't have to go out and see anyone.
Yes, well, that's truly the beauty of where you are as a mama and how it ties in to your work as a birth worker, as a doula, as a breastfeeding champion and advocate. It
Yes.
just lets you know that that bond, it never gets too far. Now, if those
Mhm.
persons choose to utilize, formula, it's going to be a different kind of result sometimes
Yeah.
than when
And
you
I let them
actually
know that.
breastfeed.
Yep.
So what's your thoughts on it? Like I want to know as a mama that has birthed divine children, what
Mhm.
are your thoughts on literally cultivating those babies and what it is that you're putting in from the time of conception to when they come and they're born and how it's important how you actually manage that nourishment at a physical and anatomical and energetic and spiritual level.
Right. So I wanted to give like just a couple of tips of things that I experienced through my breastfeeding journey with my children. With my first one, I really didn't get to fully breastfeed him. I felt like I really was robbed of my even journey into motherhood because that birth was a cesarean birth. And I didn't really get much support from the lactation support person who came to see me. They pretty much just showed me how to use a pump, the hospital grade pump, and that was pretty much it. So creating that bond and have it being supported by whether family or friends, I didn't really have that either because no one in my family I didn't know anyone that had breastfed. I didn't find out till after I had children and was breastfeeding that I found out one or two cousins did breastfeed. And I was like, well, dang, y'all never came to tell me that y'all did this till later. But yeah, some things that will help create that bond that you have, during your birth experience. going into your postpartum experience, one thing is getting support from somebody early. You know, talking to someone who has breastfed their children, hiring a doula. That these type of resources can be extremely important to you balancing the whole mental, emotional, and spiritual space of breastfeeding, because we know that there are so many myths out there that, you know, that shine negative light on breastfeeding, but it's actually a really powerful experience for a mom to go through. You know, you have the bonding, but not only that, you are giving your child the best first food that they could get. You know, even once they get to eating, you know, vegetables, fruits, and things like that, the power of breast milk is not like any other food that we eat. So seeking help early on, you know, getting information about breastfeeding and learning the nutrients and all the different elements that's inside of breast milk. And you can even drink your own breast milk, which is, you know, I know some people don't try it, but I encourage every mom, like, try your own breast milk, you know, put it in a smoothie, or, you know, add it to your tea as, you know, to make a little chai latte or whatever. But seeking that help and support from someone is so important to bring all that mental and emotional and spiritual, you know, emotions and things that you'll go through as you even go through your breastfeeding journey. Because for some women, it can be difficult. And then, you know, after you sought for support, one thing that, you know, a lot of mothers, I get them, you know, they're like, I didn't know about this thing. Know what kind of breast you got. You know, if you have flat nipples, inverted nipples, if you have, you know, the regular ones that stick out, that's something important to know. So you'll know how baby is going to latch on. And then when you have that supportive person there, coaching you through getting a good latch, because breastfeeding should not hurt. You know, it can be a little sore at first because baby is adjusting their mouth and getting used to the suckling action. But that soreness should go away, you know, after the first week or 2 weeks. But it shouldn't be painful, you know, and if you're experiencing pain, that's where seeking that early support on will come in and, again, help you out emotionally, help you out spiritually, because breastfeeding can get to where it's like a full-time job and it can be kind of draining on you. But you know, seeking those people to talk to who are very supportive about it can help in that aspect. And then another thing is just being confident in the fact that you want to do this, because some people will come in and try to dim your light and say, you know, girl, I don't know why you're trying to do that. You know, we all hear it from different people in our lives. And, you know, that's what going out and seeking that help early on will really, you know, help build your confidence in that, you know, and it'll play a lot on your mental, emotional, and spiritual support. Did you want to?
Yeah, I feel that, because oftentimes when you give birth, even if you do have that support system there, it's still a very by yourself kind of thing, especially if it's your first time.
Right. And then you have to, like, you really have to, you know, like, kind of inwardly coach yourself. This was something that I did going into having my second child, because being that I didn't have that support for my first one, going into my second one, I was like, oh no, I'm going to learn about breastfeeding. I'm going to figure this thing out, because if science is proving that it is the first best milk for my child, then this is what I want to give them. So I started reading, I started taking on the information, I started talking to other mothers who had breastfed their children from birth and on. And, you know, when I got into that room and I pushed her out vaginally, because I told the doctor, y'all were not cutting me, y'all weren't cutting me again. I pushed her out, I put her on my breast, and I looked at the latch and I looked at the nurse. I was like, does this look like a good latch? She was like, yeah, that looks pretty good. And I was like, okay, bet. You know, and that kind of was it for me. Like, I really took off from there. So going into, you know, nursing my third and fourth, I was like, oh, look, I got this. Like, you know, I've read, I've done my research, you know, and by then, you know, I was already certified doula, lactation counselor. I'm like, you know, I know how to do this. And it's really all about, you know, getting your confidence up and knowing that you can do this. You know, this is the best milk, this is the best first food for my child. And, you know, and sticking to that. And again, having those supportive people around you who gonna tell you to keep going. You know,
That's
even
good.
when those
That's
tough times come, you know, you definitely want to keep going. That's why I'm like, breastfeeding shouldn't hurt. And if it does, you know, I don't care if you see 5, 6, 7 certified lactation counselors or IBCLCs, go seek them out, you know, and figure out, you know, how we can get through this, you know, because the support is out there, the resources are out there, you know. And I would say for every mama, you know, have that supportive person with you who supports you in wanting to breastfeed, you know, and then you'll be able to tell this person all the things that you're feeling and, you know, just getting those emotions out too, so that you can have that confidence and gain that confidence.
I feel that. And you know, like really, my mind keeps going back to the earlier part of the conversation where you were talking about the first birth. And you know, the nurse comes in and she gives you the hospital grade
Right,
pump, right? But she does not give you that level of education
right,
where you can become confident and you look at
right,
it. And I mean, I think that there's a very different kind of exchange from what you're saying between your first nurse and your second nurse, because that
right,
second nurse, she's kind of checking the way the baby is latching on and
right.
all of that. Because what you're talking about, when you say that breastfeeding should not be painful, speaks directly to the point of there are nerves in our nipples.
Yes.
And because you've got these nerves there, a baby wanting to get something out of the breast
Mm-hmm.
tissue is going to be different than what we
Right,
may experience when we're actually creating the baby. You know, there's a
right,
difference between the breast being caressed or kissed versus the breast actually being suckled upon. And so I
right,
think that we need to like look at the difference between those two
right,
sensations, literally put them in two different categories and say
right.
this is intimacy and this is necessity here. And
No,
out of
that is,
necessity, my body needs to adapt to this new sensation that this
mm-hmm.
part of my tissues and my nerves are experiencing, all in the name of providing nourishment to this baby. Because I
Right.
promise you, for every new mama that keeps at it, a week or two into it, those
Mm-hmm.
nerves, those cells, those tissues are going to toughen up a bit to where it's
Yes,
like, hey, they gonna be like some official mama work at that point,
exactly. Exactly. And that's why I say in the beginning, you may experience some soreness because it's actions that your body has not experienced before, you know, so it's something that you have to work on, you know, and if it is still painful, we got to correct that latch, or we may have to see if baby has a lip tie or a tongue tie, or you know, see, or again, checking to see what type of breasts you have. Maybe they're just having a little difficult time latching onto that whole area around the areola, you know. So yes, Yeah, we should be separating the two, because the soreness in the beginning, it will eventually go away if the latch is a good latch, you know. And that, like I said, after about 2 weeks, you won't even feel that anymore because those muscles have toughened up. They have.
Exactly. And they're supposed to. I mean, they want to do this because, you know, when we have a baby, and I mean, I feel like we got to get more time in. And I'm so excited to, you know, invite you right now to one of the monthly sessions that's going to take place after Vibrant Moons. We can't stop at it being just an annual virtual vehicle now that we know that we can do this. And so I got to extend that invitation. Look, we got to get into some deep chambers around your doula work. We have to. But for whatever reason, our time around breastfeeding, I feel is super, super critical. Because when you think about where we are at an environmental level and what it is that we're potentially being exposed to. And, you know, for me, it's always looking at the mamas with the mask on, but the babies don't have on any mask.
Right. Yeah.
So if we're going to wear masks and protect ourselves and boost our immune systems, what do we do to make certain that the babies have what they need? And so my answer is going to be a phenomenal plant-based diet, as close to 100% plant-based that you can get, and supporting that endeavor through successful breastfeeding practices.
I definitely encourage mothers to eat as raw as they can. You know, I understand sometimes we like cooked food and things like that, but yeah, I definitely encourage eating as raw as you possibly can, you know, because those nutrients in there are so important that come from the vegetables and fruits. Fruits not so much, because we know that fruits, they're more into our immune support, you know, but those vegetables, that's what keeps our circulation healthy. That's what keeps our blood healthy, you know. So having a good balance of those definitely helps support and keeping our milk, you know, rich, keeping it flowing, you know.
I feel that energy, you know, and it's just one of those things to where when you really consider how sacred breast milk is, you know, sacred, it ain't really the word. It goes deeper than that. Like
That's
breast
why I say
milk
it's powerful. It's so powerful. Breast milk is powerful.
It's like gold. It's like melanin. It's up there.
It is. I agree wholeheartedly. Yes.
Yes.
Like it's nothing can compare to it. Not even the foods we eat. Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm thankful that we got a chance to let the sisters know what time it is on the strength of breastfeeding and properly latching on, because yes, we have a little bit more that we need to delve into, especially when we start considering what are the best types of births, whether you're going to do a water birth or, you know, like sharing your experiences of vaginal versus cesarean. We need all of this information. And so what I want to do at this time is encourage everybody to go onto their respective websites. Let's see, are you on Facebook as well as Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I'm sure Protector of the Womb is both of the handles, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Go and follow my sister Nar right now. Get some information for yourself. Get some information for your family, for your future generations, because guess what? We're having this conversation right now, but yes, ma'am, what's up?
And I'll say too, you know, I've had, each one of my birth experiences were very different, and they were all empowering. after I had my first cesarean. I was not going back to having another cesarean. You do not have to go back to having another cesarean. You know, depending on what the reasons were for your cesarean, make sure that, you know, you're finding those support people who will support you and guide you in the right way to have your vaginal birth after a cesarean. I had a vaginal birth after my cesarean in a hospital setting with a VBAC friendly provider. After that, I had home births, but my first home birth was with a home birth midwife and a doula. And my last birth, I decided to do unassisted. I was going into apprenticing into midwifery at the time. So I really wanted to take on, you know, that challenge of nurturing myself and birthing. And, you know, my children's father, they caught both of those home birth babies. It's a different experience when you know better and you actually do better. You know,
Yes.
it's a completely different experience. And then going from having pumped for 2 months with my cesarean baby to nursing for 15 months the second baby, to nursing for 2 years the third baby, and to nursing to 4 years old on my last one. You know, I know that there is power in knowledge, there is power in positive support, there is power in language, you know, because how the providers, I know sometimes how they talk to people, they really need to change up their language sometimes. But there's power in your own language and speaking to them too. And
Precisely.
I spoke all of that, you know, into all the subsequent births that I had and gaining more knowledge every time. And then I did want to touch on, because I think you wanted me to touch on the steaming and breastfeeding too.
Yes.
So I get all my moms to start steaming maybe about a week out from their births, because I really believe in allowing them time to heal naturally at first, and letting their own body do its own kind of closing. So I do the belly binding after they get their steams, but the steaming and as you're breastfeeding too, it can help add that nutrition in your circulation due to the herbs that are being used. It will help that circulation to make sure that your milk supply is, you know, flowing well. It's a great mood stabilizer. So very minimal, you know, postpartum depression feelings in that. And it, you know, it helps you regain your confidence for your post-birth body. You know, so I do that weekly when I go see my clients. I normally see them weekly up to their first 6 weeks, and we steam, I bind, you know, I ask them how they're doing. I look at their latch, make sure baby has a good latch, so that they have all that love and nurturing, you know, as they're going through their journey of having birth, you know, breastfeeding and going into motherhood.
You are phenomenal, sis. You are, I'm telling you,
You're
it,
phenomenal.
we're phenomenal.
I
All
know.
right? But I have to give you your roses right now because I recognize that you are doing the work of the many mothers who came before our generation. This was something, what you're doing has been done for thousands of
Yes,
years
it
into
has.
civilization. But it's like the more that we give Western medicine and
Yeah,
the doctor and the nurses the power over what
yeah,
our well-being looks like,
yeah.
we're then going to be at a loss of what traditional birthing looks
Right,
and feels like. And
right.
so I thank you for being a protector of the womb and
Yes.
holding that fire, holding that torch so to the degree to where sisters and mamas who are entering into their next birthing seasons realize that you and persons like yourself are out there. There are
Yeah.
community resources out there. They don't have to do it the way that the pamphlet says to do it.
Right.
Sometimes you have to do it the way that the ancestors say to do it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you for having this platform. Look.
Indeed. It's awesome, right? This is
It's
different
so
from
awesome.
our norm.
I know. But
Are
I'm
you
glad
feeling
that,
it?
yes, I am. I'm glad that we are still here rocking and rolling. Like I said to myself, I gotta make sure I get home on time, you know, so I
That's
can get
right.
on for my segment.
It's a serious responsibility, this vibrant
It is.
thing.
No, it's very serious. I take it very seriously. Yes.
I thank you for just being one of the veterans and knowing the greatness in what's established when we come together, when we bring our African genius, when we bring our indigenous modalities
Yes.
and just our past that clearly were carved out specifically for I. Like, I know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I know this. If I saw you try to go get a corporate job, I would tell you to go and do your original works, right?
Please, look,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think of it. Like every time I would even think of doing that, I'm like, nope, I can't, because the babies call me. They call me.
Yes,
The mamas call
absolutely.
me. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they need you. And you
Right.
need that
Yes.
experience. That's the other side of it as a wellness
I
practitioner.
need it. Yes.
You
Yes.
need to undergo those experiences
Yes.
so that way you know that you are supremely in alignment. You
Right.
have to do the work.
I take something from every birth. I'm like, okay, what was the lesson in this one this time? So I definitely pay attention to that, and also receiving from my clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, job well done.
Thank
There's more
you.
work to do.
There is.
There's
I'm
so
waiting
much
on
more
baby
great
9.
work to do.
There's
Well, it is
always.
always an honor, my sister.
It is truly, honey.
Yes. Let's
Always truly.
connect soon. Like, you're going to be one of the ones that I call the moment that I think that we can get back in the fruit orchard and do a really amazing video. You're going to
Okay.
be one of the ones that gets a chance to really just be of this collective excitement, but in the way of togetherness, because you are definitely part of that divine feminine energy that makes the festival as fabulous as it is.
Yes. I look forward to that always, and working with you. Yes.
Indeed. It's always a pleasure, my sister.
Always.
Yes, well, peace and love.
Peace.
All right, till next time.